This is Glenn with the Weightlifting Scoop, and we are down here in Australia with Ben, with the other Ben, and also with James. And we're all just going to talk a little bit about weightlifting in Australia and some of the differences. Well, obviously, Travis, everybody knows you're here. Everybody knows we couldn't have got this up and running if you weren't here to work the computer, so I just took that as a given.
Yeah, the Down Under edition of the Weightlifting Scoop. So we got down here about 3 days ago. We've been training down here, doing some seminars. And we found some differences in a couple of the words. Like a lot of everybody speaks English, but sometimes we get a little confused. What'd you guys call shopping carts?
Trolley.
Yeah, trolley, shopping trolleys.
Yeah, so back home we call those buggies, and I said, so after we checked out, I said, hey, where do I put the buggy? They just cracked up. They said, you mean trolley? And I said, I don't know, like to me a trolley's like a bus or, like something in San Francisco on an electric line.
And I'm thinking that, I don't know, a trolley, yeah, Travis described it, something that's run by electricity, but a buggy needs to be pulled by a horse. And anything you have inside of a supermarket is a cart. So, obviously.
So even within the U.S. we have differences.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else you guys have noticed?
You guys come from a far distant, far away land.
So Ben Tily, he's been hosting us. He's the man behind Muscle Driver Australia. Have you noticed any differences in language? Have you gotten confused with anything we've said?
There's definitely a few things that I really like. My favorite is when Glenn says that he's fixing for something. I love that. He might be fixing for usually food, but it's.
Thanks, Ben.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. Or you. I've tried to explain to you before when you say I'm going to go ahead and take this out of the fridge, or it's like, well, just go and do it. You don't have to tell me that you're going to go ahead and do it, or I'm going to get you to go ahead and get this out of it. So just go do it. That's one of my favorite things.
That's the Texas influence. You got to give people plenty of warning before something happens.
Well, another difference, there's a big difference in coffee. They don't really have drip coffee available or French press really. They have flat white. So that's basically going to be similar to a latte, right?
Espresso.
So it's going to be espresso with milk, which it's pretty good. It's different. If you get a double shot of espresso and then top it off with milk, that's one hell of a drink. Call that the red eye, but
the first time I was down here, I drank exclusively flat whites for the first 2 weeks, Ben, something like that.
Yeah.
But the first week it was great. It was different. It was neat. I thought it was wonderful. But then you get after that 7-10 day mark, whatever, and I was craving black coffee. And I finally got maybe one or two of them before I went home. But I'd say definitely if you grew up on black coffee, you're going to be unhappy with Australia unless you find somewhere to get just regular drip coffee. What do you think? Do you like flat white?
Oh, a double shot latte for me. That's my choice.
So Ben over here, he's a big CrossFitter in Australia. A little bit of controversy last year. He won one of the open workouts actually, and then what exactly happened?
Politically correctly, of course.
Politically correctly. So
13.2. My workout got DQ'd, which put me out of the open competition, so therefore I wasn't able to qualify for regionals.
Right, so basically without an opportunity to repost a video to prove that you had a worthy workout, you were disqualified, which kind of sucks because you won the workout in the entire world, so obviously you're one of the best CrossFitters in the world, really gearing up for the 2014 Open, right?
Yeah, I'm just pretty pumped, like live and learn. Gotta move on from things like that happen. I think if you're passionate enough about a goal, like you're going to get there no matter what. So it just takes a bit longer than I thought.
Personally, I was hoping it would really piss him off and so he'd quit CrossFit and just start doing weightlifting only, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Well, my point was not to bring up a sore topic, but basically to say that you're a damn good CrossFitter, so we're lucky to have you here on the podcast. So what are your goals in the next year? We got you here. You're training in CrossFit Gosford, which is owned by Ben Tily at the Muscle Driver Australia location. So we've been training here and hitting some big weights, and you came to one of our seminars last weekend.
Yeah, the seminars was really helpful for me just to be able to get that guidance from Glenn and be able to see someone like yourself at a similar body weight, like lift that sort of 140, 180 mark. It's just
You made a couple PRs too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, both in the snatch and the clean, which we covered.
So what are your PRs now in the snatch and the clean?
Snatch 114.5 kilos and the clean 156 kilos.
So the irony of this is we're in Australia. They don't even use pounds. They use kilos. And then the reason he didn't even know he was hitting PRs, he's got half kilo plates, half pound plates. So after he makes the lift, we're sitting there converting it. And it's like, hey, that's 156 kilos. He said, man, I thought that was 147. So so he hit a PR. He didn't even know it. It was pretty funny because a lot of people had that situation.
Yeah, one of the things we go over in the seminars, every seminar is please God add up the weights on the bar and know what you're lifting before you lift it. And I can't say Ben didn't try. I think he aimed to do that. It is hard to when you have a pair of 25-pound plates, you have a pair of 20 kilo plates, and this and that. It gets pretty confusing. I guess it would be more easy if Australians just use kilos, because they use kilos in everyday life, and Olympic lifting's in kilos, but they all have pound sets in the gym because CrossFit is run according to pounds, so you kind of need at least one or two for
you don't need them, but sometimes if they follow the main side, I guess. But anyways, we also got James here. He works in the warehouse at Muscle Driver Australia,
and he's going to the CrossFit Games next year, for sure. For sure.
I'll be at Pan Am next year.
That made a lot of sense. Yeah.
So obviously he's a very smart guy. He's
If CrossFitting doesn't work out, he's definitely got a career in modeling.
Yeah, so CrossFitter model, I don't know. You guys are going a little crazy. Anyways, what's going on, James?
Not much, man. It was a good day today, having yourself and Glenn and, just topping it off, having, such an experienced CrossFit athlete such as Ben. It's been a privilege to train with you guys today. And
I heard you squatted huge this morning too.
Yeah, I squatted like 350, 360.
Kilos or pounds?
So, yeah, no. 130 for 5.
Kilos or pounds?
Yeah. So, it's really good to see, how things are supposed to be done with such precision and try and strive for that. And then, Travis is a great guy, and as a Ben and Glenn, and it's been a real honor, training with you guys. It's been real good. It's been a privilege.
So today has been a good day for you. You just got a promotion, right? That's the word on the street.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that just happened this morning. Looks like Ben's going to be making me manager of CrossFit Gosford. So I'll be taking that over solo by myself. So, that's it's exciting news. It should be good.
I heard the first thing you're going to do is kind of thin the herd a little bit.
Yeah. Well, Ben Tyler's membership is going to be cut.
Yeah. 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 We talked about some goals that Ben Tily needed to get to if he was going to continue to work out here.
Yeah.
It was challenging. It sounded challenging, but maybe doable.
Yeah. He's got to hit a 115 clean.
So I was in here. I was kind of watching. Ben told me to coach these guys on the clean, and I didn't really do too much coaching, but I gave a couple pointers. But these guys, man, they came in here, and Ben Tily, he was coaching the class, and he said, hey, we're going to max out our clean first, then we're going to do DT, then we're going to do 3x5 on the back squat after that. I'm like, good Lord. So I'm like, damn. So for those of you, I mean, most of you guys know what DT is, but it's prescribed as 155. pounds or 70 kilos, and it's 12 deadlifts, 9 hang cleans, and 6 chest to overhead for 5 rounds. So anyways, I mean, it's like not a short workout. It's pretty taxing. And then they did max out clean and, did they do max out clean jerk or just clean? It was just clean. But either way, and then they did 3x5 on the back squat. So it was pretty awesome. I guess the main topic today, we're going to talk about programming for the, elite CrossFitter, or just, someone who their main sport is CrossFit, so they don't want to give that up, but they also want to get better at Olympic lifting. So obviously your strategy is going to be slightly different than if you're going to be training full-time for weightlifting. So Glenn?
Well, I think, the first thing you have to say is, there's really no magic when it comes to programming for weightlifting or weightlifting. It's really just, practice and putting reps in, and of course on top of that, you have to have a fairly strong squat to do well. Most CrossFitters squat already. I think probably if they were concentrating on weightlifting or really trying to raise their total, even within the realm of doing CrossFit, probably need to squat, 2 or 3 times a week. And I know a lot of gyms do that, but I also know a lot of gyms only squat once a week. It's difficult to build a really good squat with squatting once a week. So one of the main things would be you're probably not going to squat as much maybe as often as someone who's concentrating or only doing weightlifting. But if you're not squatting, at least 2 and hopefully 3 times a week, one of the main things would be to somehow find a way to work that in. The other thing is, you got to get a certain amount of snatches and clean and jerks in. And, that usually requires doing it more than once a week. And so with a really high level weightlifter doing snatches and clean and jerks up to 9 times a week, or I'm sure some even more, if you're doing them, if you're CrossFitting and really want to raise your total and you're only doing it once a week, that's probably that's far away from ideal. And I realize you can't do it 9 times a week, but if you could raise that to 2 or 3 times a week, that goes a long way. And as far as, the actual programming, day to day, again, there's no real magic. It's all basically about getting reps in, and hopefully reps at, 80% and above. The more reps you can get in, the better you're going to be able to be. And because CrossFit is the main goal, obviously, for a CrossFitter, you just have to figure out where you can fit it in, where you can fit in an extra 10 snatches, 10 clean and jerks, whatever.
So would you say 3 days a week on the O lifting, you could get most of what you need out of it?
Yeah, if you're snatching, clean and jerking 3 times a week, 3 times a week each, you're probably going to get 80 to 90% of the good out of that, as if you're doing it 6 to 9 times a week. Like almost everything, the 80-20 rule kind of applies. You're going to get 80% of the benefits from 20% of the work, and that, that extra 80% of the work you could do is just going to put the icing on the cake. It's not going to give you 2 or 3 times the benefits. So, I think 3 times a week snatch, clean and jerk squat would be very, very good for a CrossFitter that is really looking to increase their Olympic lifting.
So Ben, as an elite CrossFitter, someone who aspires to be at the CrossFit, how many days a week are you training? 6, 7? Do you take a rest day?
At the moment, I take 2 restoration days per week, mainly on a Thursday, Sunday.
Okay. My recommendation, I would just say, go with what Glenn is saying. I would say one of those days, I would probably do weightlifting and strength training only, no Metcons. I think the other 2 days you can do your lifts and squats and then do a Metcon afterwards. But obviously you're not going to want to do a long Metcon the day before a weightlifting session or the day of the weightlifting session. So usually when there's going to be like a rest day between or something like that. But, does that kind of sound reasonable to you, Ben?
Yeah, for sure. I think CrossFitters get a little bit too caught up in all the accessory lifts of the weightlifting and don't actually focus on just maxing out the snatch, clean and jerk, or as much as I should personally.
Yeah, I think that probably holds true even for weightlifters. There's if your programming and what you're doing starts to get too far away from the snatch, the clean and jerk, and the squat, you're probably wasting some of your time, and that applies double for CrossFitters because you don't have that much time because you're doing so much other training. But even weightlifters that aren't doing CrossFit should spend the majority of their time doing those 3 lifts.
Yeah.
So I think if you're doing I don't think you necessarily, as a CrossFitter especially, I don't think you need to be maxing out your snatch and clean and jerk like more than once a week, if once a week. But it's important to hit heavy percentages and be consistent with them. So like 80, 85, 90, being able to hit those for like 8 to 10 to 12 singles per session, I think that's really important. Especially if you're mixing in the CrossFit. Now on your weightlifting only day, I think you could definitely like go heavier, max out, push it a little harder and squat harder. But
that recommendation in general isn't too far away from what we do actually with pure weightlifters, in that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are usually very high volume days. We usually don't see new maximums made, very rarely even attempted. Thursday is our lightest day. And then Fridays we go to max. So I think, the same type of idea might, work well with CrossFit too, where if you early in the week you hit your, longer metcons and stuff that is, more volume of work and more, extensive. And then come back, on later in the week with a little bit of rest and try to hit your snatch, clean and jerk and squat, your heavy day, basically. Does that even make sense, Ben?
No, it does. Makes total sense, and I'd agree with all that.
So James, you just started weightlifting. I mean, you've been weightlifting for a little while through CrossFit, but you're a little more interested in weightlifting now. You just recently hit a 110 snatch. So that kind of got the fire going, right?
Yeah, I mean, I started off doing CrossFit and started off with Ben Tily, and we did a bit of lifting there, and then I kind of realized that I enjoyed it a little bit more, and lately I've been doing more lifting than I would, and hitting a 110, and that kind of, as you said, got the fire burning. But now having you and Glenn, and especially training with Ben, all three of you having here, it's fueling the fire even more. I think I'll go, and just what you were saying before, Glenn, about programming more, lifting more often for CrossFitters. I think it's such an important thing. I mean, Olympic lifting and CrossFit is such a big part of it. It's not like Olympic lifting is this little part of CrossFit. I mean, it makes up a large majority of what CrossFit is. So I think it's a really good thing that that people out there are doing more lifting training, and I think it's really good.
The Olympic lifting as part for the games. I mean, you look at the workout on the Sunday. Yeah, they had the clean and jerk ladder the day before. You look at the first workout on the Sunday, the little triplet with the GHD sit-ups, the snatch, and then the burpee wall climb thing. Where that workout was won, I mean, you can have 21 GHDs is going to take you a certain amount of time. It's not going to change that. The burpee wall ball jump things was going to take a certain amount of time. You couldn't really change that. Where that workout was won in the snatch. The 15 snatch at whatever, it was 80 kilos or something like that. And look who won that. Rich Froning, who had the highest weightlifting total. I don't think that's coincidence. So anyone who's not really focusing on it is at their peril.
Yeah, we hosted the Outlaw Camp, so I think at this point it's not really controversial to say that if you want to be a good CrossFitter, you got to focus a certain amount of time on Olympic lifting at least do a fair amount of heavy lifting. But we're just, so with that being said, that is probably not controversial for most people at this point, just trying to find where to fit those days in. Is it Monday, Wednesday, Friday? 3 days a week is going to give you most of the benefit. That's the backbone of our programming. The rest of it for us is just getting more skilled at lifting. It's not necessarily making us stronger, but more consistent, which in turn makes us better at weightlifting and hitting bigger weights. But, if we were only doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we'd still be getting most of the workouts in. Those are the heaviest days. So, any other thoughts on that, Glenn?
Yeah, I just one thing about the programming, and I've said the same thing kind of about, like high school and collegiate football and everything, but I think sometimes CrossFitters are for one, they love doing the Metcons. Most CrossFitters are really into that. And the thing about strength, and usually if you find someone with a weak squat, they're also going to have a weak snatch and clean and jerk. But I think sometimes a lot of athletes in sports that aren't necessarily totally revolve around strength. Kind of forget that difficult to gain strength. It's difficult to get your squat up when you're also doing a ton of aerobic work. And in the same way that I sometimes, have said, college football coaches want their players running so much all year long, and it really interferes with their, getting their squat up 50 pounds or 100 pounds. I think a lot of CrossFitters, if they want to be good weightlifters, could stand. They do have an off season, and a time of the year that's far away from the games and the regionals and qualifying and all that. Could probably stand to let up just a little bit on the long Metcon workouts, so that they can actually get their squat strength up. Because that stuff, once you've been good, at long Metcon workouts and stuff like that, with your squat up 20 kilos or something, it's not going to be too hard to get back to where you were and even improve. It's not going to take months and months. So I think there's a lot of CrossFitters that want to get better at Olympic lifting. If they could find a month or two during their off season to back off a little bit on the condition, especially the running. I think running takes more out of you for squatting than anything else. Back off just a little bit on that. I'm not saying don't do it at all, and concentrate on getting your squat, 20 kilos higher or more, and then go back to it. And over a couple of years, it would make a huge difference on how much you can squat and how much you can snatch and clean and jerk.
I mean, to be honest, weightlifting is such a big part of the CrossFit now, and so is gymnastics. So if you come in and your ultimate goal, you're a good athlete, you think you want to make the CrossFit Games. I mean, if you can't snatch, 110, somewhere between 110 and 130, I mean, you're not going to be competitive at the CrossFit Games, If you're not flawless in your gymnastics skills, you're not going to be doing very well at the CrossFit Games. So honestly, if you're sitting out there and you're a 60, 70 kilo snatcher and you want to make the CrossFit Games, but your aerobic capacity is great, then maybe you need to concentrate on Olympic lifting only for a little while and do gymnastic skill work. Because ultimately you're going to be held back by your weightlifting at this point, the way things are going, if you're not at a certain level. So Ben Tily. So we've been staying at his house and his wife Simone. She's been cooking for us. It's been great. I think they've been surprised at how much quantity of food that we eat.
I wasn't shocked. I had a fair idea. I was surprised at your strength with our coffee machine. And that's going to be a sore point for a couple of days yet. But other than that, it's been pretty good. Glenn threw a cup of water across the lounge room the other day. He said he knocked it, but
yeah, we've been kind of.
Do you call it lounge room? Is that right? Are the Americans going to understand?
Living room?
Yeah, I'd call it living room or family room.
Yeah,
and I didn't throw it, Ben. Come on now. I accidentally touched it with my foot. That's not throwing. But yeah, I knocked it over and it was a big glass of water, so.
I guess Chewy started barking.
Well, they have an espresso maker and I woke up early. I thought we had to leave by 6, so I woke up at like 5:30 and I made my first cup of coffee. Everything went well. Second cup of coffee, the lever broke off of the damn thing, and now I'm always going to be remembered as the asshole that stayed there that broke the coffee maker. So, anyways, they bought a new one. I'm not touching that damn thing. I'm sleeping in every morning. But no, they eat in Australia so far. I think at least we've been at a CrossFit, so everyone eats pretty clean. A lot of meat, a lot of vegetables. So it's been good. But I think they have been surprised that maybe I think Simone made a quiche and me and Glenn wanted to eat basically the whole thing because it was so damn good. It was just I
always think of Travis as like the smallest eater on the team. Like he really doesn't eat very much, at least compared to the other, guys on the team. But when we were driving here this morning, Travis and Ben came over a little earlier and, I came over a little later with Simone on the way over here. She's like, I can't believe how much you would Travis both eat. Oh my gosh. And I was like, what are you talking about? It was like, but evidently, even though I don't think we eat that much, then, but Simone thinks we eat an enormous amount. So what I told her, I said, Well, no, she said actually to me, she's like, "Don't you ever bring Tom Sroka down here."
That was pretty funny. They don't have Olive Garden over here for the Never Ending Pasta Bowl.
Well, we do have it. There's an all-you-can-eat. Benny reminded me of it this morning because I think he went there last night and went to town. I think I'm going to take you at the Central Coast. For anyone who is on the Central Coast, we're going to go out to the Central Coast Leagues Club and go to the all-you-can-eats. So just a heads up to the Central Coast Leagues Club, we're coming.
Yeah. So our first seminar, it was at CrossFit FX. It was one of the original CrossFits in Australia, right, Ben?
Yeah, with a third. Whereas at CrossFit FX, I think it was maybe the second or third affiliate in Australia. It's run by a great guy, Mick Shaw. He's the Australian CrossFit director. And yeah, it was a real privilege because I did my cert there. I did my level 1 there about 3-4 years ago, something like that. And yeah, it was really special to sort of go back there with my own seminar. And yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, so that was a good time. It was a pretty packed house. How many people did we had like 35, 40 people at that seminar for a 2-day Pendlay level 1, level 2. Had some really good lifters and CrossFitters. Ben was one of them, like we said. And Kylie, what's her last name?
Lindbeck.
And what's Ben's last name here? Ben
Garard.
Ben Garard. Okay. So yeah, we had like ranging off from beginners, people who was like their, first, second day snatching to really high level athletes. I mean, Ben here snatches like he did 114, 156. Kylie is an 85, 88 kilo snatcher. She jerked 110 last year, so she can move some weight. So it was a lot of fun. Where are we headed next?
We've got a midweek one up at CrossFit Attitude. Spots still available. And then we head off. We're doing a drive inland, and we're going to go up to Brisbane for 2 days, to the Sleeman Centre, which is home, Cougars weightlifting club. Guys, like, Damon Kelly, I think, Miles Wydell is the head coach there. So they've got Damon's a double Olympian, I think, at least twice. He's definitely been twice. Forgive me I'm sorry, Damon, if you've been 3 times. But they got a bunch of guys there that it's probably the biggest weightlifting club in the country.
Yeah, that should be a great time.
We went there last year, and that was a very, very good seminar last year, I think. An absolute lot of fun. It was the first time I ever met Damon, and he's a super nice guy. So it was a great seminar and a great couple days all around.
So any other differences that you can remember between America and Australia?
We should have the one thing I'd kill for down here, and my waistline won't. But we should have half and half milk.
Oh, they don't have half and half or heavy cream, so
yeah,
James Tatum would kill somebody. He needs
that stuff makes anything taste good.
You also said you don't have tea, or at least not the cold tea in the big jugs and whatever like we have in America.
No iced. Well, you can get an iced tea, but it's you got to go to the supermarket, and it's always flavored, and yeah, it's not like the big jugs you get when you go to. That's something that we should import to Australia. When you go to a restaurant, they should have this enormous container full of iced tea. You can just fill it up all day if you wanted to, because that's pretty cool.
But I know this is a southern thing, but they don't like sweet tea. You guys tried it. You and Simone tried the sweet tea, right?
No, I pretend to CrossFit, so I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be judged too harshly. Same way I don't want to be seen eating bread, stuff like that.
So basically, you're saying that sweet tea tastes good, but you don't want to admit it.
Yeah, I just can't handle the judging.
You heard it here from Ben Tily. He loves sweet tea. Loves sweet tea. I just drink regular tea. I don't drink with sugar. I like the regular better, actually. So I'm better than you.
So anything that you've noticed, Glenn, differences? Oh, one of the big ones we haven't even talked about is they drive on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah, that is.
This is a hot topic. So what is the right side of the road to drive on, Ben?
Well, it's definitely the side we drive on. It goes without question. You got to think when I'm driving along and I want my strong hand on the steering wheel. I want to hold that steering wheel like a man. I don't want my right hand on the gear lever and my weak left hand flapping about on the steering wheel. That to me just makes sense.
The secret is just to have a left hand that's strong enough to handle it.
No, there's an easier way to do it.
But you drive an automatic.
The van is not an automatic. The van is a manual.
That also suggests that Ben has a strong hand.
Oh, man. You better watch out. He's going to take that paperwork and tear it up. But no, yeah, so it was kind of funny. We were crossing the street the other day, and I was looking the wrong side. I almost got hit by a couple cars, so I was looking, and I was like, oh, nobody's coming. And then I looked the other way, and I'm like, oh, shit. There's a bunch of cars coming, so...
The best thing is watching them try to get into the driver's side, thinking that they're getting into the passenger side. That'll last a couple of weeks.
So you're scared of heights a little bit, Ben, right?
I'm not as bad as some people in the room. We've been promised we're going to do the Sydney Harbour Bridge climb, which I've been putting off because, you might fall to your death, obviously. But you're very keen. I'll do it if you're going to do it. Simone says she's going to do it. Glenn says there's going to take more than 3 of us to get him up there.
Yeah, I'm scared of tall ladders, so I think climbing up on top of the bridge is pretty much out. I'll sit at the bottom and take pictures of them, and I think that'll be my job.
Well, I guess my strategy didn't work because I thought if I publicly embarrassed Glenn, then he would want to do it, but he just readily admitted that he's afraid of heights and won't. So I don't know if that did any convincing, but walking up the bridge, it's right across the street from the Opera House, which, I don't know, that's like the one thing that I know about Australia, so that and the Great Barrier Reef, and kangaroos.
Yeah, I was going to say, they have kangaroos.
Well, we're going to go see kangaroos tomorrow, and then we're going to go walk up the bridge. You
haven't told me about the drop bears yet, have you?
No, well, I'm going to wait, because if we're ever in a place where they actually are, I'll let you know about them. But it's not worth worrying about it unless we're actually somewhere where they might be.
Anyways, we're going to be doing some sightseeing, more seminars. Things are going to be good. We'll have more to report in a week or so. So anyways, this is the Down Under edition. Tweet us at WLiftingScoop if you have any questions. And let us know what you call it, a buggy, a shopping cart, or a trolley.